The spray is a little bit erratic from some of those nozzles, so I'm going to take this off and see if I can clean it out. You're in the right spot. I've always kind of been curious what's inside the head of this. So let's see. Oh, we got some grime in there. Huh. So just have the selector for multiple things, and then to do all of them, maybe this one. So each nozzle has its own port except for this one. And that one actually has its own port inside that you can see. I hope you guys can see that. And it just directs the water to the perimeter because this has a perimeter sprinkler as well as the 7 other jet selections. You'll be able to clean the grit out of this too. Okay, it looks pretty good now. And then this I'll just wipe off with some paper towel. And there's an O-ring on the face of it that does the sealing to the face inside the head. You can see that right there. You guys want some gummy worms? Don't worry, they're not the sugar-free ones. If you get what I'm saying. All right, that's smooth now. Let's see, we'll want it on that one. There was stuff clogging probably half of the nozzles. Just give it one ooga dooga for security, and I think we're good to go. There we go. That's a lot better. We have distinct jets of water now. It's shooting quite a bit further without creating a mist. The mist was, although I think beneficial for ice collection, it was also drifting a lot with the wind. So this should probably create a more defined ice blob. Now, the things that were collected in the jet there were so tiny that I don't think that any one of those would clog my hydro turbine nozzles. So I don't know that I need to filter it that much, or if at all. In this third instance of ice collection for this winter season, I have the garden hose hooked up to my penstock supply here for the hydroelectric turbine. And I have a small restrictor nozzle on there just to keep a little bit of water flowing through there so it doesn't freeze, because we're expecting air temperatures down, well, some places had said close to 0 and other places are like 15 degrees, so I'm not sure exactly which. So, and this is how I can turn on. I got a little bit of mud on this, so see, it's holding steady at 120 psi. And then I can open up my garden hose here, and it's whoop. Whoop, whoop. Shit. Okay, I was getting a little wet there. So that's that. To run the garden hose, I actually just have it going out the drain there, and it goes underneath the turbine pit, and it comes out my drain there. So that's my way of getting it out of here without drilling another hole in the concrete, which actually didn't take too long. I used the electric core bit for that, and that was pretty fast. Video on that coming later. Or video on that already out. We'll see. I don't know which one will be first. Temperatures, it's about 38 right now. In here it's saying 45. but I've had the lid open for a few minutes, so it probably cooled off. It's averaging about 50 degrees with the lid shut, so it's maintaining good ground temperature, and then the water flowing through is probably helping a little bit too. So the start of this ice collection, this is what's left over from the last one. I'm surprised that there is any ice left. There's no snow anywhere else around, except maybe on the top of the hills over there. And this is the rig that I have set up. Somebody has suggested putting it up high in a tree, and I'm like, yeah, I thought about that too, so let's do it. So it's just tied up there with a rope. It's not very high, it's maybe 10 or 12 feet up. It's creating a good mist, kind of like what a snowmaker makes, but a snowmaker actually, like what you would see at a ski resort, includes air too. And the air coming out of the nozzle super cools the water and helps it freeze. Whereas this water is coming out warmer than freezing. And here we are after a few hours. So that was last night. It got it below freezing around 10 p.m. It's 7 a.m. now. So that's 9 hours. And it's around 22 degrees Fahrenheit and currently snowing. So last night after I hung that up, I did trim off the branches because I thought they might collect ice and break off. And there was one that I wasn't able to cut the whole way through, and I figured, well, the ice will tear it down eventually, and that's exactly what happened. We have a little bit of buildup on these here, and a lot of buildup in the middle, and then some on the trees there, and then on the tree there too, going up a lot higher than previously. And then I think maybe over here it's building up a little bit too from the winds, but not really. Like here I'm standing in mist. Oh, look, we're getting ice collection all the way up here too by the barrel, or by this bucket. So that's further than last time too. All right, we'll let this run and see how much ice we can collect. Well, we're getting some definite icicle buildup. Including along the ground, so I'm thinking this will build up even more tonight. It's getting on the... There we go. The flash on it was not doing it any favors. So I've got ice collecting on this tree and that tree back there too even. And then some in the yard also. Oh, and that tree too. That's got some big icicles. It's hard to tell, but right in there, that's probably about 2 feet worth of buildup of ice. Ice-snow mix. It's mostly ice though, I'd say. I'm sad that those icicles are there and I can't really do anything about them because it's catching some of the water that could freeze elsewhere and it's just making it drip straight down. Although that water that's dripping is still being productive somewhat in this area. Maybe a foot for perspective would help. And I'm getting wet there. I don't know if that'll come down easy. Looks like it's kind of frozen up there. It's the 14th there was a large amount of ice buildup last night on those branches right there, and the ice finally fell off and shattered along the ground. So that's an interesting observation. And then the amount of ice we're collecting here, it's it's getting thick. It's about 1.5 feet thick, I'd have to guess, in the middle there. And then, you know, any little stick here, these are like little sticks and branches that were sticking up, but now they're giant ice mounds. Like, there's my foot. So they're pretty big. And the ground all around here is covered in ice too. Even up here. Of course, it really depends on where the wind is blowing. And then there's some more ice there. So this is an ongoing success, I'd say. Although today I might have to turn it off because it's going to get above freezing during the day. And then I'll turn it back on at night. An additional comment. I realize I might be doing a disservice to myself saying that nicely, because this can flood with quite a bit of water, and all of this ice now would block water from going through the culvert, because there's a culvert right here that dumps out into this rest of the ditch there. So if we get like a flood or something, or heavy rain, and all this snow melts in a day, then that could maybe run over the yard. So that's not a good thing. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Here's next morning. What's today? I don't know what today is. Ice is continuing to build. It's no longer building on those. It didn't get that cold last night, so that might be a factor. It's building on that hickory tree there. But that hickory tree, if you see up there, it's split off a huge chunk of it when the other trees were taken down, and then that lower branch is also damaged too. So I'm not too concerned about that tree. My wife is concerned about it. It might die anyways, regardless of the ice that I'm building up on it. The ice down here is getting considerably thicker. It's probably about 2 feet thick in the middle there. And then we have built up on the trees too. And then yesterday, I don't know if I showed it, but there was actual like snow buildup on the tree there, that smaller tree, but it's melted. It melted yesterday. All of this in the yard is artificial because the rest of the yard is kind of bare of snow, and so all of this is from my ice collection also. And it is truly ice, it's not snow, because it doesn't have the time to properly crystallize. It's more like sleet, I would say, or something like that. I may have to move this from this spot over to maybe somewhere in the middle of the yard behind my house, because I don't want it to be too visible from the street. It's pretty visible from the street right there. If you look up this way, it's just a large white collection. I mean, it's not so visible right now because there's other snow around the area, but I kind of want to do this more privately so I don't draw attention. And I'm sad to say that's the end of the ice collection for this year. My wife is saying no more, and I kind of agree. The amount of ice that was collecting on the trees, it was significant and at risk of, like, if it fell on a dog, it would probably kill the dog. So that's why I had to stop. So I hope you enjoyed this ice collection series. Sadly, there will be no more. I might try setting up a little bit later in the year, but lower, so it's not going to be as significant of a collection. And with that, I'll see you guys around later.